What's happening, gang? If any of you guys are on Instagram, you've probably seen some ads for this particular knife sharpener. I know I did. So much so that I actually decided to purchase one just to see how it worked. This is called the Tumbler. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The instructions are all pictures. Just shows you how to operate and use this thing. There is a video and a written instruction guide, should you care to scan the QR code and go there. Basically, it is just a block here that's got a 20 and 15 degree angle on it. There's magnets on this to hold your knife. So the idea is this holds your knife and you use this tumbler system, which is just a diamond coated disc on one side and a steel on the other. So the idea is you just hold the knife at this angle with this magnet and you run your diamond back and forth across it. Now this device has little ball bearings, I guess, inside of it and some O-ring grommets here to give it cushion and allows it to roll freely. Pretty simple to use, very, very straightforward, nothing difficult about it. The only thing I would consider difficult is knowing when to stop, which is when you develop a burr. I'm going to demonstrate this for you guys today. I'm going to show you the entire process, how long it takes, and what you're looking for when you're sharpening a knife. If you guys are new to this kind of thing, this is going to be kind of a tutorial for you. For those of you who are veterans, just bear with me. If you're wanting to see how this product works, just skip on to the end and you'll see the final results. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and grab something to dull this with and we will get started. This is an 80 grit, I believe, sharpening stone from Sharpening Supplies. I'm just going to run my edge along this to dull it out. And now when we look at it under light, we should see that the edge is flat and you can see that reflection of light coming back. That lets you know that apex is flat as a board and it's reflecting light back to you. I'm not sure what angle this knife has been sharpened at because I've always just sharpened it freehand. I'm going to go ahead and mark it with a marker just to see where we're grinding on the initial go. And if this is going to require a major reprofile, be prepared for a little bit of a marathon session. I can't say with 100% certainty, and I have not reached out to the company to find out exactly what grit this diamond is, but I think it's close to 400 just by the way it feels. So I've got my Sharpie marker set up. I've got the knife flat against the surface here, so it's parallel, and I've got it on the 20 degree side. I don't know if keeping it flat against the surface is actually required. These magnets are pretty strong, so if you needed to raise it up a little bit to get above the lip of the guide here, I don't think that would be an issue. I am having to move it closer to the handle though, so I don't hit the corner here as my diamond is going across. I do not want it exposed like that because then I'll be grinding into the wood and the magnet. So I want to keep that covered and make sure that that is protected. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, see where we're at. So again, the idea is you just place this against your knife and go back and forth like this. Now I did use this once just to kind of try it out, see what it was about. And results were pretty decent. So as you can see, I am taking most of that Sharpie off. I'm missing back here in the very edge. And it looks like I'm missing up here in the tip, and that's because the knife is flexing on me. So to get to that area, just kind of concentrate on it for a moment. Same thing at the tip. Now I'm going to put my finger right here to give it a little support as I go back and forth so it doesn't flex. Now let's look at it again. Now most of that Sharpie marker is gone except for the very, very tip. And that back edge is removed. So we're just going to continue to do this back and forth like this until I develop a burr. You'll know when you have a burr when you can feel the edge on the other side. There'll be a lip of metal that has curled over. The side you're sharpening on, the opposite side, will have a lip of metal that curls over. When you feel that curl of metal, that's when you know you're ready to switch to the other side. Now, I showed you in the beginning that I had some light reflecting back after I dulled the edge out. Another way you can check is by looking at the knife directly under light like this and seeing if you have a reflection coming back to you. But since I've got Sharpie marker on it, the light's not really reflecting. I'm going to sharpen till I get to a burr. I'm not going to worry about the whole light reflection. If you're interested in that, check out my tutorial and demonstration on my sharpening technique. I go in depth and discuss and show all that kind of stuff. What I'm doing here is I'm just kind of concentrating on the back of the edge and the tip. I do believe this tumbler is missing the very, very tip because the tip is so low. So that might be an issue. I may have to actually cock the knife up so that I can get to that very, very tip. Feeling for a burr. I do have a burr in the very back. Well, it looks like I got a burr across the whole edge. So I can feel, when I run my finger across it like this, I can feel a little lip of metal back there. Just going to go a few more times just to even things out a little bit. And what I was saying about having to cock the knife up to get to that tip, what I mean is I may have to angle this up like that so that tip is exposed to the diamond. Now this is round, so as I get close to that tip, it's kind of missing that little spot. Cock it up a little bit more. As I said, I think this is about a 400 grit diamond, but because I've only used it once, it's really aggressive. As you use this system, the diamonds will start to wear. And as they wear and break in, it will seem like the stone or the diamond plate is not cutting quite as fast as it used to, which is true. However, that's just your diamonds breaking in. They all happen. They all get to that point with use. So don't be alarmed. It just may take a little bit longer to get your knife sharpened than you're used to from the onset. Just keep at it. Trust me, those diamonds will work. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the metal shavings coming off. Since it is magnetized now, they're kind of sticking to the edge. I say magnetized because this magnet is attached to it, so it's going to magnetically charge it a little bit, so you'll get that, I don't even know what you call it, that swarf buildup on the very edge. It's not difficult to go around the belly or to get to the tip. You just kind of roll with this tumbler system to get all those areas. I've got a healthy burr built up. You can see right there, the very apex, that curl of metal, that is the burr. It's really subtle, difficult to see with the naked eye, but trust me, that is your burr. That's what you're looking for. So we've done this side, just taking the knife off, switching over to the other. I'm gonna raise it up a little bit, just so I can get to that tip without any hassle. putting the clamp still closer to the handle, and we're just going to go through and do the exact same thing, keeping the base flat on the surface. Look at our progress. Now I had Sharpie marker on here, and it appears most of the Sharpie is gone. So we're just going to keep going until I get a burr on this side. Now I'll concentrate on that tip after I get the rest of the edge complete. I've already got a burr. My fingernail's getting caught on that lip of metal that is now on the edge. So I've got a healthy burr built up. I'm going to go ahead and raise this up again so I can concentrate on that tip, get that area squared away. There we go. I got a burr across the entire edge. Just wiping that metal shavings off. Now I'm going to go through and try to remove some of that burr just by doing some back and forth strokes here. And if you're new to this, just think of this process like you're trying to break a metal coat hanger. You're just bending it back and forth. You're just flipping that burr back and forth, side to side, until it snaps. And that's the principle behind what we're doing here. Just gonna flip that burr back and forth. And see where we stand. Still feel a little burr right here at the very tip. I'll get that with my strop, however. For the most part though, the burr is still on this side, but it's been reduced enough that I feel comfortable I can take it to a strop and finish up. Now this does come with a steel on the other side, which if you ever steeled your knife, basically all that's doing is if you've got a little bit of a burr, it'll flip that burr straight and align the edge. I'm not a big fan of it. They don't always remove the burr. They just flip the burr straight, and then as you make your first few cuts, that burr will actually break off, and then you'll be stuck with a flat apex again. I'm not the biggest fan of steeling knives, so if you want to use it, it is there. If you purchase this, that is an option for you. I'm just going to go ahead and go through the motions. Let's just show you what it's like. But for me to finish an edge, I always strop. Stropping in this instance is just a piece of wood with a piece of leather attached to it with glue, and I've got some buffing compound. You can get that at Harbor Freight. You can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot. Look in this section for sandpaper and stuff like that. You can usually find it. It's just a buffing compound they use for grinding wheels and things of that nature. Rub it on and just run your knife edge across it. Now you want to try to keep the same angle that it was sharpened at. If you're not comfortable doing that, put this guide back on it. Perhaps hold it on the edge of a table or something, and then take your strop and go backwards like this on it. Keep the strop obviously straight up and down, and let the knife edge. Now this is kind of awkward for me because I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do this on a countertop, but I would put this on the edge of, say, your countertop, so you've got all that room for your strop to go down. Don't be afraid if you go over angle. It's not the end of the world. You're trying to break that burr off, so going over angle might actually help you reduce it and pop it off. If you don't have compound, you can just use a regular piece of leather. If you don't have leather, you can just take a piece of paper, copy paper for instance, wrap it around the stone or any flat surface. Just wrap it around like this and use that as a strap. Now obviously paper towel is not what you want to use. A piece of copy paper though will help you to at least brighten up the burr so that you can see it really well. And then you can always go back to the diamond or the steel, run it back and forth a few more times, and just continue that process until you get the burr removed. I think that's pretty good. Support the paper towel. There you go. So it is cutting. The knife is sharp, and for your kitchen needs, this will be plenty. I think you would be most impressed with this, especially compared to the edge that you had from factory. Give you a close-up of this bevel, so you can see those diamond scratches still. Everything is neat and precise. So the sharpener does work. If you cannot hold an angle or you cannot get a knife sharp with stones, this is actually a really nice alternative to it. I'm not a big fan of the steel. I do think there's a few things they could have done to improve this system. They could have, for example, given you another tumbler system, or even set it as another option. Maybe have a extra coarse than a fine extra fine as an option. Maybe even putting a piece of leather on one side so that you could strop your knife instead of steeling it. As far as the angle guide, 20 and 15 degrees is pretty standard for most knives. They could also create blocks with 18 degrees, 12 degrees, you know, whatever angle they decide they want to put out there. These are pretty simple to make though. If you've got any sort of way to cut wood, you can make your own. Attach some magnets to it. I mean, this is a pretty rudimentary system here, so just creating your own angle blocks would be really, really simple. As a system as a whole, for a beginning sharpener or someone who is just in the kitchen trying to get their knife sharp, would I recommend this? Absolutely. For someone who's experienced and knows how to sharpen, would I recommend this? No. You're going to be better off with either using freehand, or if you've got, say, an Edge Pro Apex. Yeah, those are better systems by far. You're given one grit and two angles. That's all you're working with here. Well, guys, I appreciate you checking this out. Just to throw it out there, this was not given to me. I had to purchase this on my own. So my views and reviews, if you want to call it that, are coming from me and not as a paid sponsor. So keep that in mind also. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please leave them down below. I appreciate you watching. Y'all have a good one.